I'm not in charge of the budget because that's Warner Brothers. You know, that's the way the studio system works.
How do you handpick me and then mistreat me?
Yes.
And then I gotta send a letter to you about the mistreatment that you gave me. We say they, we say the people, we say the studio, we say the producers. How dare you actually say our heroes' names? Because they're the ones that did it.
So it would appear that Monique is looking for all the smoke with Miss O and Taraji P. Henson because she just criticized both of them. However, she had more energy for Taraji, and she called her out for trying to save Miss O after she went on and on about Miss O underpaying her and treating actresses poorly on the set of Color Purple. Yeah, Monique and Miss O been at odds for ages. So Monique didn't hold back in calling out Miss O for trying to save her own skin after years of mistreating Black women. Monique laid it all out, saying Miss O's been cozying up to her ever since. Monique thinks Miss O saved herself but wrecked her own rep in the process. Monique ain't playing any games here, folks. She's coming in hot with all the gossip and evidence. And now, Shannon Sharpe seems dead set on causing chaos with another interview featuring Monique. Believe me when I say, it's a total whirlwind. We're still picking up the pieces from that super messy interview he did with Cat Williams earlier this year, where Cat spilled all the tea on everyone in Hollywood, and then some. And just when we thought things couldn't get any crazier than that, well, Monique just stepped into the group chat, and let me tell you, things escalated real quick. There are only a handful of folks in Hollywood who despise the industry as much as Cat and Monique. And it's not hard to see why. They've both been done dirty by the industry, especially after Monique's fallout with Miss O. All right, let's backtrack a bit. Miss O and Monique had a falling out back in 2009. It all went down after Miss O and Tyler Perry directed the movie Precious, where Monique was the leading lady. Monique did her part, fulfilled her contract, and then Miss O and Tyler decided they wanted to hit the press circuit. So even though Monique wasn't too keen on leaving her family to go on that tour, she ended up changing her mind and agreeing to go. But then things took a turn for the worse when Miss O dropped the bombshell that Monique wouldn't be getting paid for the press tour. On top of that, Monique was expected to foot the bill for all her travel expenses out of her own pocket. Naturally, Monique wasn't having any of that. She put her foot down because she was already lowballed for the role in the first place. Some sources even say she only got a measly $50,000, and that's before all the taxes, agent fees, union dues, and other deductions. It was a raw deal from the start. Monique was basically paid peanuts for her work in the movie. So covering her own expenses for the press tour would have just added insult to injury. But Miss O wasn't backing down, and when Monique refused to go along with it, rumors started swirling that Miss O had blackballed her. Despite Monique's major awards, including an Oscar, it seemed like nobody in the industry wanted to touch her after that. It was a real blow to her career. Gotta give credit where it's due. Monique spoke her truth back then. She called out Miss O not just for blackballing her, but also for shortchanging her on the role. It's a shame that her words fell on deaf ears, though. Despite her speaking out, she didn't get the backing she needed from others in the industry. It was a tough spot for her to be in. Fast forward to 2023, and now Taraji P. Henson speaking out too. She's echoing Monique's sentiments, claiming that Miss O pulled the same stunt on her. Taraji almost passed on a role in The Color Purple because the pay was just too low. Seems like history repeating itself.
Where's my raise? I haven't seen a raise in my income since Proud Mary. And almost had to walk away from Color Purple. Yes, ma'am. Who said what? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because you know what? If I don't take a stand, how am I making it easy for Fantasia and Danielle and Hallie and Felicia? Then why am I doing this? If it's all just for me, why are you here?
Unlike Monique, Taraji got a ton of support and Miss O faced a lot of backlash. In her interview with Shannon Sharpe, Monique brought up Taraji's situation and dropped a bombshell. She had actually talked to Taraji a few years back about the issue of Black women being underpaid in Hollywood. But at the time, Taraji wasn't really feeling the conversation. It's interesting how things play out.
However, Taraji and I had a conversation over a decade ago.
Yes.
In my trailer when I was doing the Monique show. And she said, you know, you got to keep on getting it until your turn comes. And I said, Taraji, most of us die before our turn comes. We got to ask for it right now. Now, I understand that because there was a time I felt the same way.
Exactly.
Because that's what I was told.
Right.
You just keep going and we'll get him the next time. We'll get him the next time. We'll get him the next time. And the next time never comes.
She then pointed out how she had been trying to fight the fight for a long time, but people never really paid attention to her.
Now, when I said it,
why didn't it get the traction when you said it that when she said it? Now all of a sudden everybody is coming, and I don't have a problem. I'm glad.
Yes.
But if you said this a decade ago, and I remember you saying it over a decade ago, why didn't it get the traction? Why didn't it get the support? Why wasn't it propped up when Monique said it?
I think there's a few reasons why. Number one, it was the messenger. I should just be grateful I got invited to the party. You a big, fat, black woman. How dare you be the one? And then on top of that, you're saying names. You're saying Oprah's name out loud. You're saying Tyler's name out loud. You're saying Lee's name out loud. You're saying Lionsgate out loud. That's not what we do. We say they. We say the people. We say the studio. We say the producers. How dare you actually say our heroes' names?
You're very specific.
These are our heroes. How could you say their names out loud? Because they're the ones that did it.
Monique didn't hold back. She straight up called out Taraji for trying to cover up for Miss O, even after Miss O treated her poorly during the color purple. Monique confirmed there's been tension between Miss O and Taraji, even pointing out an awkward interaction between them at a publicity event for the movie. Looks like the drama's been brewing for a while.
I can't see a thing. But it's all right. Can anybody see anything?
Well, Monique claimed that Miss O was trying to teach Taraji a lesson and also send a message to other actresses that they don't want to mess with her.
So what they said was, we're going to beat Monique really good. We're going to sit her down. And I made it public. Financially, my family took a hit, Shannon. And when I tell you we took a hit,
Right.
we took a hit. So when you see our sister go through that, you see her go through, and we act like our eyes didn't see what it saw when we watched that promotion happen with the color purple.
Right.
We wanted to act like we didn't see how Oprah Winfrey treated Taraji. In my humble opinion, when you saw her walk up, you saw that there was tension. You saw that there was something happening.
Right.
And then when you see Taraji write her a love letter, it's like, listen, we got to stand tall and stand strong on what we know. We know you were mistreated. We know it wasn't right. We know it was unfair. And then you turn around and say, oh, but Lady O handled it. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because that allows Lady O to keep on doing what she's doing. And we're in a position of, I don't want to say nothing because we saw how Monique got whooped. Now, again, that's just my humble opinion.
And by love letter, she was referring to this post that Taraji made after the event where she praised Miss O for being the best thing since sliced bread. She wrote, "It's so important for Black women and all women of color to support each other. It is also imperative to have women of color in decision-making positions across all industries. Miss O has been nothing less than a steady and solid beacon of light to all the cast of The Color Purple." She continued, "She has provided encouragement, guidance, and unwavering support to us all. She told me personally to reach out to her for anything I needed, and I did. It took one call, one conversation, and one decision-making Black woman to make me feel heard. Thank you, Miss O, for all that you do." Y'all, even Stevie Wonder could see that Taraji's post was straight up driven by fear, not the love she claimed. Monique was on fire, calling out Taraji for letting Miss O disrespect her by hand-picking her for the role and then making her audition. Monique argued it was a power move by Miss O, and Taraji fell right into it. For those who don't get it, let me break it down. While it's usual for actors to audition for roles, it ain't common for them to audition for roles they've been specifically chosen for. Handpicking means the producer believes they'll nail it, so auditions aren't usually necessary. This usually happens for top-tier artists with a proven track record. By asking Taraji to audition even after handpicking her, Miss O was basically saying, "Yeah, you're good, but I still call the shots here." It was a power move, plain and simple.
Because people don't understand how deep this goes. When I watched my sister say it was an honor to be handpicked,
Right.
then why ever would you audition?
Yeah.
And the moment, in my opinion, the moment she auditioned, they knew we got them. We can treat them any kind of way we want to treat them. We can do them any kind of way.
But why would you want to?
Why?
Just because you can, that doesn't mean you should.
But they did. But they did. How do you handpick me and then mistreat me?
Yes.
And then I got to send a letter to you about the mistreatment that you gave me. That's why they're able to get away with it.
And she claimed that Taraji did the other actresses on the show a disservice by doing that because it indirectly led to them also being mistreated.
It's not how many times you say yes. It's how many times you say no. And the moment our baby auditioned, they got set up for no trailers. They got set up for no food. They got set up for no drivers because now in their mind, they think you're desperate.
Right.
So when Oprah does the one-on-one with Taraji and she begins to run down her credits, the great Taraji P. Henson, then why ever would you allow the audition to happen? Why ever would you allow that? Why wouldn't you go to that studio and say,
She doesn't have to.
she doesn't have to, I handpicked them. So either our sister's not as powerful as we believe she is, or either there's not the concern that she tries to make it look like it is.
Monique made some solid arguments, tough as it might be to hear. Taraji essentially sacrificed herself to make Miss O look better, but it ended up backfiring. Miss O distanced herself from the drama, claiming she had nothing to do with the actors' paychecks. It's a messy situation all around.
Yes, and I would just like to say about this whole Taraji, you know, I heard I was trending yesterday because people are saying that I was not supporting Taraji. Taraji will tell you herself that I've been the greatest champion of this film, championing not only the behind-the-scenes production, but also everything that everybody needed. So whenever I heard that there was something that people needed, I'm not in charge of the budget because that's Warner Brothers. You know, that's the way the studio system works. And we as producers, everybody gets their salary. That's negotiated by your team. And so
Monique was spot on about how Taraji inadvertently exposed the other actresses to mistreatment. A lot went down during the filming of that movie. They weren't even provided transportation from the Bear hotels to the set, and they weren't given lunch while shooting. It's unacceptable treatment, plain and simple. They didn't even have individual dressing rooms and were basically put into one room altogether. The sad part is that Monique speaking up about all this after the narrative shifted from black actresses being underpaid to Taraji being labeled as unprofessional for speaking out about the low pay while promoting the movie. Then, the blame for the movie flopping gets pinned on Taraji. It's a frustrating turn of events, for sure. Fans are rallying behind Monique because they admire her for speaking up directly about the mistreatment she experienced in the entertainment industry. They see her willingness to name names and address the issue head-on as a sign of strength and integrity. Monique's refusal to let the situation affect her emotionally resonates with many fans who appreciate her resilience in the face of adversity. On the other hand, there's a sense of disillusionment with Lady O Winfrey among some fans. They believe that Miss O's actions regarding Taraji P. Henson were motivated more by concerns about ratings and public perception, rather than genuine support for her colleague. This perception has led to skepticism about Lady O's authenticity and commitment to uplifting fellow Black women in the industry. Moreover, there's criticism directed at Taraji P. Henson for what fans perceive as her failure to show solidarity with Monique during her public struggles. Fans are questioning why Taraji didn't speak up for Monique at the time, especially considering the parallels with her own experiences. This criticism underscores the importance of supporting one another within the industry and holding each other accountable for advocacy and allyship. Overall, these discussions highlight broader issues of fairness, transparency, and power dynamics within the entertainment industry. They reflect a growing demand for authenticity and solidarity among celebrities, particularly concerning the treatment of Black women. It's definitely a complex situation with a lot of layers to unpack. Monique's allegations raise important questions about fairness and respect in the industry, especially regarding pay equity and how actors are treated on set. It's concerning to hear about instances of mistreatment and lack of support for actors, particularly when it comes to issues of race and gender. Taraji's experience adds another dimension to the discussion, highlighting the challenges faced by Black actresses in Hollywood and the risks associated with speaking out against injustice. Overall, it's a reminder of the importance of advocating for fair treatment and standing up against inequality in all its forms. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.